slowly, one line at a time. Charles Manson never killed anyone. He was not even there on the nights that made him infamous. What he did instead was more disturbing. He convinced ordinary people, most of them young women from normal families, to kill without hesitation. And the question of how he did that has never been fully answered. Answering that question requires moving past the myth of the supernatural boogeyman. The historical facts point toward the use of specific, documented psychological mechanisms to dismantle the human mind. In the summer of 1967, San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury district became a magnet for nearly 100,000 young people. They arrived with a desperate idealism, searching for a new way of living, yet found themselves adrift and separated from their usual social safety nets. These women arrived in the city with backgrounds that offered no hint of the violence to follow. Patricia Krenwinkel was an office worker from a middle-class home. Susan Atkins had been a member of a church choir. They were people who, in any other era, would likely have no criminal record at all. Charles Manson entered this environment in March 1967. At 32 years old, he had just been released from Terminal Island Federal Prison, having spent over half his life within the institutional system. While behind bars, he became an obsessive student of interpersonal influence. He spent his time analyzing the social principles of Dale Carnegie and the recruitment tactics used by groups like the Scientologists, refining a toolkit of manipulation long before he met his first follower. This historical collision was fatal. A generation seeking a sense of purpose encountered a man who had spent decades learning how to identify and exploit that specific search. The first stage of his process utilized a tactic called love bombing. This systematic use of intense, manufactured affection forges an immediate, overwhelming bond. This creates an artificial emotional debt, ensuring the target relies entirely on the leader for validation. Manson applied this by identifying the deepest insecurities of the runaways he met. He targeted those who felt invisible, offering them a level of attention that made them feel uniquely seen for the first time. The technique was effective even on those with high social status. Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys was drawn into this same snare, providing Manson with a wealthy patron and further proof that these methods could compromise almost anyone. Love bombing functions as a trade. The leader provides an intense sense of belonging, and in exchange, the target gradually surrenders their independence. Once a bond was formed, Manson moved the group to Spawn Movie Ranch. This desolate location provided the distance needed to separate his followers from the rest of society. He confiscated clocks and pocket watches, ensuring time disappeared. He forbade communication with former friends. This severed the ties that normally allow a reality check. Without objective time or outside social connections, Manson became the sole authority on the truth. He alone defined the reality his followers lived in. The final phase involved erasing the individual ego. He used sleep deprivation and sexual dynamics to dismantle the boundaries of everyone at the ranch. He utilized LSD as a tool of control rather than recreation. He guided his followers through their drug experiences, using their softened mental states to position himself as a Christ-like figure. He filled their minds with a paranoid ideology called helter-skelter. This was his personal prophecy of an apocalyptic race war that only the family would survive. By August 1969, his followers had reached a state where they followed his instructions without question. When he ordered them to trigger his war, they committed the murders that claimed the life of Sharon Tate. The violence in the Tate and LaBianca homes provided the final evidence of his influence. It was the moment his followers proved they had no individual ego left to resist him. The 1970 trial forced the legal system to address a novel form of crime. Manson was prosecuted for murder by proxy, a case built on his ability to direct the actions of others from a distance. The behavior of the female defendants during the trial illustrated the depth of their conditioning. They sat in the courtroom singing and smiling, showing a total detachment from the reality of the murders they had committed. This influence eventually faded over decades of incarceration. As they aged in prison, the former followers regained their own perspectives and began to face the gravity of their past actions. Their eventual clarity years later suggests that their capacity for violence was built through the environment Manson created at the ranch, rather than being an inherent monstrous nature. The case takes on a new dimension in the 2026 Hulu documentary, My Grandfather, Charles Manson. It follows Sophia Maddox as she discovers her direct biological connection to the man. Maddox expresses a profound fear that the capacity for such acts might be a genetic trait, something carried in her own bloodline. However, the historical evidence points away from biological destiny. Manson's power came from his mastery of specific, documented techniques used to exploit the human psyche. The legacy of the case highlights a different kind of danger. It's the threat posed by those who understand how to weaponize our basic need for community and turn it into a tool for violence.